And we're back. Today we're going to go over two things. 1, multiplying fractions. 2, dividing fractions. Once we're finished with this, you'll have a short 10-problem assignment. 5 multiplying and 5 dividing. If you take these notes, it's really, 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 really easy. So, to multiply fractions, you do your numerator times your numerator, your denominator times your denominator, then simplify if possible. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator, and then simplify if possible.
Exactly.
So if you have those steps written down like I've asked you to, we'll look at a couple different problems. I'll use my Team Shake app to call on people. Sponsor me, pay me millions.
We want money.
Let's look first at 2/3 times 2/6.
Who is it?
2/3 times 2/6. Molly, what is our new numerator? 4. Because she just multiplies numerator times numerator. Molly, what's our new denominator? 4/18. Thank you, Molly. Hannah, can this fraction be simplified? And how do you know this fraction can be simplified? Good. I can divide it by 2. If I find my greatest common factor of 4 and 18, I'm going to find that 2 is the greatest common factor. The biggest one they have in common is 2. Since 2 is a common factor, I divide both my numerator and denominator by 2. And I'm going to get what, Victoria? What am I going to get when I simplify this fraction? 2 9ths. Awesome. So 4/18 is equivalent to 2 9ths. The product of 2/3 and 2/6 is 2 9ths. Fairly easy. Multiply straight across. Simplify if possible. Multiply straight across. Simplify if possible. Elijah, you have a question?
Yeah. I thought you're not supposed to multiply your denominator because your denominator is supposed to stay the same.
Not when we're multiplying fractions. That's adding and subtracting fractions.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, that's what it be.
You're wrong. Elijah, you're supposed to make sense.
Stop. Oh, let's see. Our second problem we'll do is 2/3 times 1/7. Solve this. In a moment, I'll use my Team Shake app. Sponsor me, I'd like millions.
That's true. Yeah, we want the trip.
Are you working on this, ladies?
Yes, millions. I have to work.
Yeah, we need millions.
No, we just wrote that up there. You haven't done the work.
Yeah.
Sponsor Mr. McMurdo, sponsor Mr. W, and sponsor Ms. Davis.
Okay, stop talking and work, please.
Sponsor us.
Alec, what is my new numerator? 2. Alec, what is my new denominator?
I'm still working on it.
All right. Shh, quiet. Alec will get it. His name popped up on my Team Shake app.
Sponsor. 28.
Nope, 3 times 7.
Oh, 21.
21. 2 over 21. Kristen, can I simplify 2 over 21? Let's check our factors of 2 and our factors of 21. Kristen, what are my factors of 2?
1 and 2.
1 and 2. Anything else? You sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's what kind of number?
That's prime.
That's prime, the only even prime number. Kristen, my factors of 21.
1 and 21.
Anything else?
3 and 7.
3 and 7. Anything else?
3.
No. So that's a composite number. So, Kyla, what is the greatest common factor for 2 and 21? 1. If 1 is our greatest common factor, then that fraction is already in simplest form. It is already lowest terms. So the product of 2/3 and 1/7 is 2 21st, 2 21s, 2 21ths. I don't know. 2 over 21. Not 100% sure how to say that. 2 over 21.
Not done writing it down.
So now we move to dividing fractions. Dividing fractions. 3 steps to this. 4 steps, really. Step 1, keep the first fraction the same.
Change flip. And then simplify it here.
Keep the first fraction the same. Step 2, change division to multiplication. Keep the first fraction the same. Step 1. Step 2, change division to multiplication. Step 3, flip the second fraction over. And step 4 is simplify. After you change it to multiplication, you solve it and then simplify. I should write solve and then simplify. That'd be better. Solve and simplify. Solve and then simplify. If possible. Not all of them will be able to be simplified.
Like 1, 1.
Yeah, you can simplify 1, 1 and make it just 1.
Exactly.
Let's look at an example problem. Let's take 1/7 divided by 3/8. 1/7 divided by 3/8. Shina, what do I do first?
Keep the first fraction.
Good. So 1/7 is going to stay 1/7. Shina, what do I do second?
Flip the division sign to multiplication.
Good. Change the division to multiplication. And what do I do third?
Flip the second fraction upside down.
Okay, flip it upside down. The denominator becomes the numerator becomes the denominator. Then it's just a multiplication problem. So, Ricky, what's my new numerator, Ricky?
The new numerator is 8.
And my new denominator?
Is 1.
Not 1. Shh, stop. Don't, That's very disrespectful.
Yeah.
All right. And Tatum, can I simplify 8 over 21?
No.
No, how do you know?
Because the 81 and 4 and 2 and 9.
Good. The factors of 8, as she just said, are 1 and 8, 2 and 4. And none of those, except for 1, are a factor of 21. So if 1 is the greatest common factor, that fraction is already in lowest terms, simplified form.
Can you wait, please? Thank you.
I'm waiting. So don't look at me.
No, I'm not.
No. Stop.
Okay, I'm done.
All right, our second example.
That's fine.
Our second example, let's look at 1/10 divided by 3/5. Solve. 1/10 divided by 3/5.
Oh, I want to solve the answer. Me too.
Okay, solve quietly. Gunner, what is the first thing I do?
Keep 1/10.
Next.
Change the division sign to a multiplication sign.
Next.
Flip 3/5 to 5/30.
Awesome. Thank you, Gunner.
You're welcome.
Addie, as I solve this as a multiplication now, what do I get?
30 over 5 over 30.
5 over 30 multiplied straight across.
There we go.
Kyle, can 5 over 30 be simplified?
Yeah.
By?
Bye.
Let's look at our factors, Kyle.
No.
Kyle, what are our factors of 5?
1, 5.
1 and 5. Kyle, what are our factors of 30?
130.
1 and 30.
This one 15.
2 and 15.
6, 5.
6 and 5. So Kyle, what's the greatest common factor?
He missed 1. 10 and 3.
10 and 3.
But he missed 1. Oh yeah.
Kyle, what's my greatest common factor?
10, 3.
No. Greatest, what do they? They both have a 1 in common. They both have a 5 in common. So what's the biggest number they have in common? 5 is the biggest number they have in common. So we will simplify that by dividing both the numerator and denominator by 5. And Ava, what is 5 divided by 5? And Ava, what's 30 divided by 5? 6. Now, if you have these notes, your life will be easier when you do these 10 problems. Please remember, on these 10 problems, there's a couple of them when you divide that you're going to get an improper fraction. You need to change that to a mixed number. All of your fractions need to be in simplest form. Gunnar, you had a question.
Can I sharpen my pencil?
In just one moment.
Okay.
So if there are no other questions...
Get started.
Boom! Shakalaka! Peace out! God bless! Love ya! Do something kind! Subscribe to me! Subscribe to my friend Robots from Neptune! Love